have started to forget. Started to forget August 29th, 2005, the day that changed so many lives, including mine. But I clearly remember. I remember packing the car so my dad could drive from Pennsylvania to New Orleans 3 days after the storm hit. I remember packing our house and moving mid-November to New Orleans. I remember hanging sheetrock and gutting houses alongside volunteers from across the country. I remember as the years started to pass and people began to forget. I remember the looks that I get, even now, as I tell people about the work that still needs to be done 10 years later. So today, we're going to talk about some basic facts about hurricanes and the Louisiana geography, the timeline for Katrina, and why I will never forget. A hurricane is a tropical cyclone that happens in the Atlantic, Eastern Pacific, and Caribbean Oceans. The National Hurricane Center categorizes hurricanes and provides information and public safety warnings to the people. The center was instrumental in tracking Katrina and keeping the public informed, as it ranged from a Category 1 with winds of 74 miles an hour to a Category 5 with winds of 157 or more. Now, as we start to follow Katrina's path, I want to show you a map of the area so that you're familiar with it. You can see here we've got Louisiana. Over here is a map of the greater New Orleans area with the Mississippi coast to the right, Lake Pontchartrain in the middle, and the North Shore to the north of that. New Orleans is to the south of the lake. The Mississippi River runs straight through New Orleans, and the Gulf Coast is to the south. Here we got a close-up of New Orleans. You can see, again, the lake to the north, the Mississippi River running through, and these dark blue circles are the major levee breaks that happened during the storm. So let's take a look at the timeline of Katrina. Thursday, August 25th, Tropical Storm Katrina is upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane as it passes across Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico. On Friday, August 26th, the National Hurricane Center changes the second projected landfall of Katrina from the Florida Panhandle to the Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama Gulf coasts. At this point, Governor Blanco of Louisiana declares a state of emergency. Saturday, August 27th, Katrina is upgraded to a Category 3 hurricane, and a mandatory evacuation of parts of southern Louisiana is enacted. Sunday, August 28th, Katrina is upgraded from a Category 3 to a Category 4 to a Category 5 hurricane. At this point, a mandatory evacuation of all of southern Louisiana is issued, and the Superdome is opened as a refuge of last resort. Early on the morning of Monday, August 29th, Katrina makes landfall in southern Louisiana as a Category 3 hurricane with some Category 4 winds. Around 11 a.m., the fourth quadrant of the storm slams into the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain as well as the Mississippi coast. At 8:14, the first of 28 levee breaches in the first 24 hours is reported along the Industrial Canal. In the following days, 50 total breaches will be reported. Over 80% of New Orleans is flooded, with many areas having 18 feet or more of water. This traps many people in their homes with no chance of escape. In the days following, just about every recovery and response agency has set up shop in New Orleans, and thousands of people will come over the next couple of years on volunteer teams to help rebuild the city. As of today, most areas of the city are back to functioning as normal. So why are we still there 10 years later? Why remember? In the upper and lower Ninth Wards, where we are doing a lot of our work, most blocks have 5 homes or less rebuilt. And in other parts of the city, people are still waiting to get back in their homes 10 years later. This is why I don't forget. It's why I remember with crystal clarity the teams, the staff, and the homeowners. It's why I remember the laughter and the tears and the stories of hope and survival. I remember praying and working with hundreds of volunteers. I remember giving tours of Trinity Church where we housed and fed the volunteers and ran ministry and explained the rules of staying there. I remember playing games of checkers with the other missionary kids. I remember when Trinity was the church of the stained carpet because of the hundreds of people eating and sleeping on their sanctuary floor. I remember the stories of despair and hope as people weren't able to leave the city and spent days in the Superdome. I remember watching my parents do ministry in every aspect of our daily lives. I remember going to hang drywall on the ceiling of someone's house because there wasn't a team in and it needed to be done. I remember laying tile on the bathroom floor in the new ministry center we were able to build 5 years ago on the back of Trinity's property. I remember going to countless churches to talk, to raise support, and to share our story. I remember because Katrina changed the direction of my life. I remember because the things I have learned over the past 10 years have shaped my future. I remember because that day changed my life forever.